What's up guys, Syiler here with One Legion TV, and we are back on the World of Warcraft Alpha for Legion, and this time we're going to take a look at Shadow Priest, what's changed, what the spells are, what the talents are, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a very early preview. Now, a bit of warning, Shadow is probably the spec that I have the least experience with. I've messed around with a lot of classes in World of Warcraft, especially DPS, but Shadow is one that I've played the least. So keep in mind it's more of a outside look, it's not going to be too in-depth because I don't fully understand the class on live, so it's hard to translate that into alpha. But I'm still going to go through the spells and give you a best, do the best to my ability to give you a good rundown of the class. So first of all, we're going to take a look. Actually, before we get started, Shadow no longer has shadow form and they no longer have mana. Instead, what you'll do is you'll generate insanity off some of your spells, and then that insanity will put you into void form. Void form is kind of like this mini game where some spells will generate insanity keeping you in void form, and then you'll have certain spells that can only be used in void form and you'll do more damage while in void form. So it's just kind of like mini game, and then it'll drop off and the cycle will begin again. So keep that in mind when we're going through some of these spells. So first of all, Dispel Magic, same as always, Dispel Magic on the enemy target, removing one beneficial magic effect. It has no cooldown, so you can just spam Dispel someone. We have Dispersion, 2-minute cooldown, and you're dispersed into pure shadow energy, reducing all damage taken by 60% for 6 seconds. Can be used while stunned, feared, whatever. You can also cast while inside this, so you have a heal, so you're able to disperse and basically heal yourself up during that 6-second period for quite a lot. So very, very strong for PvP. Being able to go into a defensive and then spam heal yourself as well is quite nice. Dominate Mind, it says it has a mana cost, but I assume that would be ignored. I haven't actually tried this spell yet, so I can't say too much on that. But same as always, you can control a mind. There is also a talent or something that allows you to, I think it's a talent. It allows you to, yeah, there we go. Allows you to control your own character while you have Dominate Mind active as well. So there might be some kind of little metagame things you can do, certain mobs you can mind control. And the spell might have more use, basically, because before it would, you'd have to control that mob, so it wasn't very good. But if you can have it as a sort of a pet, then Dominate Mind might be a lot stronger. There might be a lot of situations where you can actually use this. So we'll see. Especially this tier as well that it's in. You're not really losing out on damage by taking it. So being able to have a pet that you can control and does things for you could be quite big. Anyway. And Fade, 30-second cooldown, instant, fade out, temporarily removing all your threat and reducing all damage taken by 10% for 10 seconds. So, gonna have a 20-second downtime for 10% damage reduction, not too bad. Master Spell, the mana cost is gone, so we can just spam that 1.2-second cooldown, cast, 15-second cooldown, and it's gonna dispel everyone in it. It'll remove a friendly target's harmful effect, and it will remove a beneficial spell from an enemy. Mind Blast, it generates 20 insanity by default, but we do have a talent on that's increasing that, so keep that in mind. Blast the target's mind for 10k shadow damage, 7.3-second cooldown, and 1.2-second cast. Mind Flay, assault the target's mind with shadow energy, causing 7.7k shadow damage over 2.44 seconds and slowing their move speed by 50%. This would also normally generate 15 insanity, but the talent affects that. Mind Sear, same as it would be, it's going to be your AoE spell. You'll put it on a target and it will pulsate around that target, dealing damage to all enemies within 10 yards. Mind Vision, same as live, you'll put it on someone and you'll be able to see through their eyes. Mind Bender, this is actually a talent, so we'll click that off for now. Actually, let's go to the, they're all unused spells, we'll just have to ignore the other one. Power Word Shield, no cost because obviously it can't use mana, 6-second cooldown and absorbs 26k damage, so pretty nice. You can basically keep that up on you without any negatives, and you don't get any kind of debuff for using it, so just throw it on yourself, throw it on your allies. There's going to be no reason you shouldn't. Psychic Horror, terrify the target, stunning them for 4 seconds. It does cost 13 sanity though, so you're going to have to keep that in mind and play around that. 45-second cooldown, but that's pretty good. Psychic Scream, same as always, once again, no mana cost, 30-second cooldown, and it's an AoE fear around you. Shackle Undead, not really sure why that's still there, but hey, there might be some times where you need to shackle an undead. CC's an undead for 10 seconds. You know, might use it on like a DK pet or something like that. Actually, you can also use it on a Death Knight, can't you, when they Icebound Fortitude or something? Yeah, I remember something along those lines. Anyway, Shadow Crash is a talent, so we're not going to talk about that right now. Shadow Mend, wrap an ally in shadows, which heals them for 30k, but at a price. The ally will take 3k damage every 1 second until they've taken 15k total. So it's basically a 15k heal. It'll do 30 immediately, but then take 15 of it back. So it's an interesting concept. It does drain 10 insanity if you have any. If you don't have any, it doesn't cost anything. Now, I'm not sure if that's intended, but as of right now, I mean, the way they've worded it, it seems like it won't cost any. You know, if it has it, it'll take it. If it doesn't, it won't. And we also have a talent that makes Shadow Mend not deal damage to yourself. So we can heal ourselves for 30k with no negative. So you combine that with Dispersion, you disperse your Shadow Mend spam on yourself, which costs nothing and has no cooldown. And you're laughing. You know, that's very, very strong. Shadow of Death, 8-second cooldown, a Word of Dark Energy, or Dark Binding that inflicts 2.9k shadow damage to the target, only usable on enemies that have less than 20k, or 20% HP. Now, the damage from that seems a little low right now, obviously with it being an execute, but if it does die, you'll gain 30 Insanity. Obviously, it needs to be buffed, I'd imagine. Shadow Word Pain, Word of Darkness that causes 2.8k shadow damage instantly and then an additional 19k over 18 seconds. Shadow Fiend, create a shadowy fiend that attacks the target for 12 seconds. Silence the target, preventing them from casting spells for 5 seconds. Non-player victim spell casting is also interrupted for 3 seconds. That's on a 45-second cooldown. Vampiric Embrace fills you with the Embrace of Shadow Energy, causing you and your allies to be healed for 10% of any single target spells damage that you deal for 15 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Vampiric Touch, a touch of darkness that causes 35k shadow damage over 24 seconds and heals the priest for each point of damage dealt. If the target is dispelled, the spell flees in horror for 3 seconds. And then finally we have Void Bolt, which is a 4.8 second cooldown, sends a bolt of pure void energy at the enemy, dealing 2.4k shadow damage, 24k, and extending the duration of Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch by 3 seconds, but it's only usable in this void form. We have a talent, so we're not going to talk about that right now. Your Mastery increases the damage of your Shadow Word Pain, Vampiric and Touch, and Void Bolt. Shadowy Apparitions. When your Shadow Word Pain damage critically strikes, you also create a shadowy version of yourself that floats towards the target, dealing 3.9k shadow damage. And then finally, Void Form. This is the thing I was talking about earlier. So when you reach 100 Insanity, you enter Void Form, reducing the cooldown of Mind Blast by 3 seconds, and increasing your shadow damage by 30%. While in Void Form, you gain 1% haste every 1 second. This haste will also persist for 20 seconds after Void Form ends. Void Form causes your insanity to consistently drain faster and faster until you're completely drained and Void Form ends. So that's that kind of little mini game I was talking about, and it's actually kind of fun. I thought Priest was going to be turned into like this very straightforward like rage based thing where, you know, you generate rage, dump rage, but it's a lot more than that, and it feels a lot more than that, so I'm glad it's a lot of fun. So we'll take a look at the talents. Level 15 we have Twist of Fate, passive. After damaging a target below 35% health, you deal 20% increased damage for 20 seconds. And 20% increased healing for 10 seconds. Fortress of the Mind, Mind Flay and Mind Blast deal 10% more damage and generate 20% more insanity, that's what I had. And Shadow Word Void, blast the target's mind for 9.7k shadow damage and generate 13 sanity. Now one thing about this, it has charges. As you'll see, it has 3 charges, so we could use that, and within 5 seconds we've gained 19 sanity. So very, very good for burst. It might be the PvP talent, because you're going to be able to get into that shadow form instantly, or the void form, whatever, and very, very quick. So yeah, that's a cool talent as well. Mania, even, you move 1% faster for every 5 insanity you have. Your powered shield and leap of faith also increase your target's movement speed by 60%, or masochism. It's probably butchered. I know the word, but whatever. It's, you know what I mean. When you cast Shadow Word Mend on yourself, it deals no damage. Then we have the level 45 tier Mind Bomb, 30-second cooldown, unleashes a psychic explosion, stunning all enemies within 0 yards of the target for 3 seconds. Obviously it's going to have some, or maybe it doesn't have any range on it, but I'd imagine it will, because why would it stun? They'd all have to be stacked on top of each other, so it probably have like a 5-yard range or something along those lines. But it replaces Psychic Scream. And then we have Psychic Voice, reduce the cooldown of your Psychic Scream ability by 30 seconds. And then we have a Dominate Mind, which we talked about a little earlier. It allows you to still control your character. Level 60, we have Void Lord. While in Void form, your Shadow Word damage bonus is increased by 40%. And that bonus now applies to your healing and absorbs as well. So imagine the bonus healing you could get while in Void form with this Shadow Mend. Reaper of Souls, your Shadow Word Death is now castable on targets below 35% health and also generates Insanity even if it did not kill the target. So you can use it at 35% and gain Insanity. Probably good for like bosses and stuff because you'll be able to get into Void form pretty damn quick, but And then Void Ray, each time your Mind Flay deals damage, you gain 10% increased Mind Flay damage for 3 seconds, stacking up to 6 times. Level 75, we have San Lane? God damn this, why are all the words so non-normal? Increases the damage of your Vampiric Touch by 20% and the healing of your Vampiric Embrace by 20%. The next one is Spirits. God damn this. Your Shadowy Apparitions now deal 100% increased damage. And Shadowy Insight. Your Shadow Word Pain and damage has a 10% chance to reset the cooldown of Mind Blast. 10% didn't seem too much, but I guess you do get quite a few ticks. But by the time it does actually proc, like on average, Mind Blast will be nearly off cooldown anyway because it's only a 7.5 second CD. So, and on average, you'll probably get about 5 ticks before it procs. So, yeah. Power was Infusion. Infuses the priest with power for 20 seconds, increasing haste by 25% and increasing insanity generation by 25% as well. That's on a 2-minute cooldown. Mindbender is what we had. Creates a Mindbender to attack the target. Caster receives 5 insanity while the Mindbender attacks, lasts 20 seconds. So with that, you'd be able to get your insanity pretty damn quick on the pull. And then Shadow Crash is 30-second cooldown, hurls a bolt of slow-moving shadow energy at the destination, dealing 8.8k damage to all targets within 8 yards, and generates 15 insanity. And then finally we have the level 100 talents, Legacy of the Void. Casting Mind Blast increases the effect of your Shadow Word by 50% for 30 seconds, stacking up to 2 times, so you could have 100% damage or absorb on your Shadow Word spells. Mind Spike blasts the target for 4.4k shadow damage or shadow frost damage and increases the damage done by your next Mind Blast within 15 seconds by 50%, stacking up to 5 times. But that replaces Mind Flay. And then finally, this talent's really interesting. Surrender to Madness, 10-minute cooldown. Surrender to the Old God, sacrificing your soul for ultimate power. All your insanity generating abilities generate 300% more insanity until you exit Void form, and then you die. So, once you hit that point, you're just dead. So it could be used on like specific fights where you get to stand still and just DPS, or it could be used for like burn phases. You know, like the last 10% of burn phase. If you know you're not gonna die in that period, then you're gonna do a lot of damage. So, in terms of the rotation, I assume it'd go something like this. You'd keep up your Shadow Word Pain and your Vampiric Touch. There's no reason to, or no reason not to. And then you would also use Mind Blast off cooldown. And then in between those, you would use Mind Flay. So it would look something like... Why can't we actually use Mind Blast? Huh. I'm not 100% sure why we can't use it off the bat, to be honest. It's acting as though it like actually costs insanity, but either way, I don't think that's working as intended. So we'll get going, we'll generate some insanity, and now it's letting us use it. Now the tentacle is from my artifact weapon, so don't give that too much attention. We're going to refresh our dots before we hit insanity cap, and then that's going to take us into void form. So from here, our Mind Blast is going to be on a pretty damn short CD, so we're just going to spam Mind Blast to keep our insanity up, and then we're going to use Void Bolt off CD, because that's going to refresh our dots, and it'll do a good chunk of damage. So we're just going to be able to spam this Mind Blast. It's going to keep us in this insanity form, and we're going to go basically as long as we can in this form. Now there might be a better way to do this, but Mind Flay doesn't seem to do as much damage or generate enough sanity to keep you in this form, and you don't need to refresh your dots, so there's not much point in doing that. So I found this to be like the best method basically of, you know, making the most of the form. So yeah, as you can see, the insanity eventually ran out and we got kicked out of the form, and now we go back to kind of stage 1. But it doesn't take long for us to get back into this form. Now we do need to refresh that one dot. It's not that big of a deal. And we're going to start doing some damage. And the damage, remember that the 90 dummy doesn't have scaled damage, so this is what we'd be doing to like 100 mob, roughly. A little bit less because of like resistances, armors and stuff. But in general, this is the amount of damage we'd be putting out, which is a good amount of damage. Compared to most stuff I've played so far, Shadow is one of the higher DPS. Now obviously it's early alpha, it's hard to say, but yeah, even though I'm a noob at playing this, it does a good amount of damage. Now we're also going to take a look at this Surrender to Madness talent, because I know a lot of people are interested in seeing it. So we're going to wait for, and as you can see we have this Lingering Haste as well, 38% haste increase. So we're going to wait for these to drop off. Actually, we're going to click them off, and we're going to see how long we can survive for in this insanity mode. So we'll start the stopwatch now, and we're going to give it a go. Get our dots up. So remember, it doesn't activate until we actually get into the sort of void form, so no panic just yet. So we're about to get into it. Okay, we're in. We're going to refresh our dots, and we're going to... Okay, we're going to wait, because for some reason it's bugged up and it's not actually put the talent on my bar. Hold on. Let's get rid of this one. Let's put this one back on once I get out of combat. Oh, okay, it's bugged out. Hold on. Ah, I see. There we go. So now we have Surrendered to Madness. Let's give this another go. So we're going to get our dots up, and then we're going to start doing some damage. Going to build up that insanity. Once we get close towards max, we're going to refresh these dots, and then we're going to push ourselves into the insanity. And then we're going to transform. Now it doesn't have any kind of visual with it as far as I can tell. It might in the future. It'd be cool if you turned into kind of like a, you know, a faceless one or something along those lines. But we're going to follow a very similar rotation. And as you can see, we didn't start the timer because we're a Muppet. But we'll base it off. If we can actually quickly get up a timer. There we go. So we've been in it for about 30 seconds already. So we'll just base it from that. As you can see, we generate a lot more insanity from our Mind Blast. We do a lot of damage. I mean, every other second we're hitting for 30k plus, which is a lot of damage at this point. So in burn phases and stuff like that, this would be huge. Obviously, you wouldn't really be able to use it in PvP, because if you did, you'd probably just get CC'd, and then you'd die. So it's going to be very, very niche how you can use it. But there's going to be some crazy stuff done with it, I imagine. Oh, we're getting to the point where we're probably going to die in a second. As you can see, we can pretty much permanently keep our dots up. Oh, I messed up, I'm dead. So we got about a minute and a half from that. If I played a little bit better as well, we could have probably pushed out another 10-20 seconds before it became too much. Because remember, the longer you're in the form, the more void energy drains, and the faster you're gonna die in the end. But yeah, that was a look at Shadow Priest. Hopefully, as I said, I'm not a Shadow Priest player, so this is the kind of the best preview I could give you guys. But yeah, Shadow seems a lot of fun. People might not like the changes who actually play Shadow right now, but as someone who didn't really like live Shadow, I find this a lot more fun to play. It's kind of, I don't know, it feels nice. So hopefully people who actually play Shadow do like these changes, as I think they're great. And look out for more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.